I once wrote a song about soapy spheres. It was a bubble wrap.
Yay, bubbles!
Bubbles are all around us.
Bubbles!
From the fizz in your pop to the head on your beer. Everyone loves a bubble. Well, everyone except for economists. And 2 kids sharing a bathtub. Maybe it's the beautiful way they refract and reflect the light. Maybe it's the delicate and fleeting nature of their existence. Or maybe it's the way they burst so satisfyingly when we touch them. But for some reason, humans have always been fascinated by these floating globules of gas. Turns out bubbles are much more than just sensitive balls. And they have many more uses than you would expect. So now it's time to stop floating around in a circle and poke a finger into 17 things you can do with a bubble. Number 17. Put on an incredible show.
Bubble-blowing street performers are a common sight in many cities, but none of them can compare to the floating orb wonders of the Gazillion Bubble Show. Founded by Canadian bubble master Fan Yang, this performance takes soapy sphere showmanship to the extreme. Yang taught his children his secret bubble techniques and made them part of the show. His son and daughter have now both become world-class bubble performers in their own right.
Wow! Bubbles!
Fan Yang holds several bubble-related Guinness records, including one for forming 12 concentric bubbles, one inside the other. To make all the various kinds of bubbles, Yang uses 6 different liquid solutions during the show.
I would love to get rich and famous making bubbles. Sounds like it would be an amazing blowjob. Number 16. Create a sparkling beverage.
The history of bubbles in beverages begins in a brewery. In 1767, a genius scientist named Joseph Priestley discovered that carbon dioxide could be dissolved into water to produce a pleasantly effervescent effect.
How is it, Jen? Tell us. It's beautiful.
Priestley made his first batches of carbonated water in a local brewery simply by pouring the liquid back and forth over a gassy beer vat. He soon developed better methods for bubblifying water, which were then adapted by a Swiss entrepreneur named Johann Jakob Schwepp.
Bubbles.
In 1783, Schwepp's sparkling bottled water became the world's first carbonated soft drink. 240 years later, Schweppes is still in the fizz biz.
Michael Jackson needs to turn in his crown because Joseph Priestley is the real king of pop. Number 15. Set world records and get arrested.
Susan Montgomery Williams was a champion chewing gum bubble blower with multiple Guinness records. Known as Choosy Susie, she could do more than just blow giant bubbles. She could also pop them with incredible loudness. Her love for bursting bubbles got her into some sticky situations.
Chewing gum online, eh?
She once got arrested for refusing to stop making high-volume bubble pops at an outdoor Smokey Robinson concert. While in the courthouse for her hearing, Williams kept popping bubbles in the hallway. Bailiffs at a murder trial in a nearby courtroom thought they were hearing gunshots. The bailiffs berated the rebel bubble blower, but she bravely rebuffed their anti-bubble bluster until they broke down and busted her, basically for being a badass.
I have come here to chew bubblegum.
Williams was given a 30-day sentence, but the judge suspended it when she finally promised to never blow a bubble in the courthouse again.
Choosy Susie doesn't back down. She really sticks to her gums. Number 14. Filter your weed smoke.
A bubble can purify your cannabis smoke. Water pipes are designed to cool and clean smoke bubbles by trapping much of the ash and tar. Since THC and other cannabinoids are not water-soluble, they should mostly make it through the fluid and into your lungs where they belong. Water pipes go back a long way in history. Archaeologists found golden bongs in Russia that are 2,400 years old, used by ancient Scythians to smoke cannabis and opium. The first one-piece glass bubbler bong was created by Oregon glassblower Cameron Tower in 1993. His unique design with thick tubing and a large bubble bottom soon became very popular among tokers. Just don't put booze in your bong water. Alcohol will absorb the cannabinoids, rendering your bong blasts impotent.
Wow! Turns out water is the best coffee filter. Number 13. Try and get away with murder.
A cute little bubble may seem harmless, but if it gets into your bloodstream, it can be deadly. An air bubble in your bloodstream can kill by stopping the flow in your heart, which looks just like a deadly heart attack.
No problem, just having a heart attack.
This is probably why an air bubble injection is the preferred murder method of psycho nurses around the world. Extremely naughty nurses in Italy, Texas, and England have all been caught killing dozens of helpless patients in this way. The most prolific of them all was a Catholic deacon and nurse with the perfect name for a supervillain who kills with bubbles: Ivo Poppe. Poppe is in prison for injecting deadly bubbles into at least 20 patients, including 3 family members and his own mother.
These evil nurses were truly blowing people away. Number 12. Build an underwater home.
The diving bell spider lives in a bubble under the water. To create its subaquatic dwelling, the spider first holds its breath and builds a dome-shaped web under the water. Then it brings air bubbles down from the surface, carrying them with the dense hydrophobic hair on its legs. When the web dome is filled with a bubble of air, the spider has a safe space to stay and avoid land predators. This is all pretty amazing, but the real stunning fact is how the bubble works. Just like a fish's gill, the spider's silk bubble is able to extract oxygen from the surrounding water while releasing carbon dioxide. This keeps the air fresh and allows the spider to stay submerged for days at a time.
This spider should get a job in online development with such immersive web design.
Number 11. Spend your life in it.
David Vetter lived inside a bubble for all of his short life. He was born in 1971 with a severely compromised immune system. Doctors said any exposure to any regular germs and viruses would be lethal.
He had absolutely no defenses against the sea of germs we all wander through on a daily basis.
So just 20 seconds after entering the world, David was placed into a sterilized plastic isolation bubble. David could only be touched through plastic gloves attached to the bubble walls. The bubble was very noisy because it was kept inflated by air compressors that had to run non-stop. Young David became known around the world as the Bubble Boy.
What are you looking at? Never seen a kid in a bubble before?
Of course I have. Come on. My cousin's in a bubble.
When David was 7, NASA gave him a special spacesuit that connected to his bubble and allowed him to walk a short distance. Sadly, David died at age 12 after he was exposed to a dormant virus from a bone marrow transplant.
It's easy to live in a bubble these days. Just watch nothing but Fox News. But seriously, the only good thing about living in a bubble is that your home is always around.
Number 10. Suffer intense pain.
If you get under too much pressure, painful problems can bubble up in your bloodstream. When you're scuba diving or deep underground, you are breathing pressurized air. The high pressure causes more gas to be absorbed into your blood, and nitrogen can build up in the bloodstream. When you return to the surface and the pressure drops, the extra nitrogen forms into bubbles. These bubbles can lodge in your joints and cause so much pain that you bend over in agony. That's why decompression sickness is called the bends. The solution is to decompress more slowly, which gives the nitrogen time to exit the bloodstream naturally. One of the world's first decompression chambers was installed in 1890 for workers building the Hudson River Tunnel deep underground. Before the chamber was brought in, a quarter of tunnel workers were dying from the bends each year.
I don't like going too far underwater. I'm afraid of being in the deep state.
Number 9, hunt fish.
Humpback whales use bubbles to corral and catch fish. When a pod of humpback whales spots a school of small fish, they dive deep under them and exhale a spiral of bubbles. The whales carefully work together to create a conic curtain of bubbles which disorients the fish and herds them together into a tight ball. One whale then gives a call, and they will all simultaneously swim upwards with their mouths open to scoop up their sushi dinner and swallow it whole. Bubble hunting is not instinctual. Young whales need to learn the technique by an older whale.
I once helped a whale straighten its spine, but then it wanted its hump back. But seriously, I wonder how these older whales could actually explain this hunting method. Seems like it would be indescribable.
Number 8, smell underwater.
A bubble can help you smell underwater, but only if you're a star-nosed mole. These strange semi-aquatic creatures are one of only 2 mammals that can detect scents below the surface. They do this with their amazing multi-pronged proboscis, which is also the most sensitive touch organ of any mammal. The mole will rapidly exhale and inhale an air bubble through their nose, which lets it absorb and identify odor molecules in the water. Each of their 22 separate nose rays connects to a different section of their neocortex. This allows them to precisely locate insects, frogs, and fish for a meal during a dive. When a star-nosed mole finds something to eat, it doesn't waste any time.
Wow, what an incredible odor eater. Number 7, put it in your bath.
I've had a very long, hard day.
Humans have been bathing for a very long time, but modern-style bubble baths only became possible in the 1930s. This is when synthetic surfactants and stabilizers were developed that allow soap bubbles to last much longer than before. Bubbly bathing got more popular in 1950 after Life magazine published a cover showing 3 sexy actresses in a bubble bath together. All these early bubbles were made using soap powder because liquid bubble bath was only invented in 1972. Researchers have discovered that, along with being super soapy fun, the bubbles also insulate the bath water.
It's too hot, my lady.
This means your bath will stay hot about 50% longer with bubbles than without, giving you more time to enjoy your splashy fun times.
I can make bubbles in my bath all by myself, and I don't even need soap. Actually, I wanted to have some sexy humor for this entry, but all I could come up with were clean jokes. Number 6, create a new drink craze.
Bubble tea is the national drink of Taiwan and enjoyed around the world. Basically, it's just iced tea suffused with chewy tapioca balls. 2 rival Taiwanese tea house chains both claim to have invented the bubble-based beverage in the late 1980s. Their feud over bubble tea bragging rights led to a lengthy legal battle. After 10 years fighting in court and a fortune spent in legal fees, the judge gave a final ruling in 2019 that satisfied no one.
This crap that you gave me is not evidence.
The judge said that since bubble tea is not patented and anyone can make it, it didn't matter who invented it. The case was dismissed with no winner. One last fact. The tapioca balls are called boba, named after a sexy movie star Amy Yip, whose nickname boba is a slang Taiwanese term for large breasts.
When I have bubble tea with my friends, I always buy a round of drinks. Number 5, turn it inside out.
An anti-bubble is like a regular bubble, but inside out. A regular bubble is a sphere of gas surrounded by a liquid. An anti-bubble is a droplet of liquid surrounded by a thin film of gas. They can only exist underwater or at the surface. If you create an anti-bubble with a heavier liquid inside it, then it will sink in a glass of water. Anti-bubbles are fragile and usually only last a few seconds. But if you use the right kind of soapy solution, they can last for minutes. Scientists have created anti-bubbles that last for many hours by adding special colloidal particles to the water. Theoretically, a froth of stable microscopic anti-bubbles could become a sci-fi anti-foam used in hyper-advanced lubrication and filtration systems.
My mom's sister is extremely opposed to anti-foam. That's right, my auntie's anti-bubble. It's just unbelievable. Number 4, pack things for safe shipping.
Bubble wrap started as a product no one knew what to do with. In 1957, 2 inventors in New Jersey had an idea they hoped would make them rich: plastic textured wallpaper. They ran 2 pieces of shower curtain through a heat sealer, hoping for an interesting effect. But all they got was a sheet of plastic filled with trapped air bubbles. No one wanted it for wallpaper. They tried selling it as greenhouse insulation, but that didn't work either.
I sold my house and invested my personal savings.
I don't think people are actually going to want to buy these things. Come up with something else. I'm out.
They kept working on their idea, and finally, in 1961, they made a deal that changed everything. IBM had just developed a cutting-edge new computer, but didn't know how to keep the delicate machines safe during shipping. Bubble wrap was perfect for IBM's needs. The inventor's persistence had finally paid off. Bubble wrap soon became the most popular packing material in the world.
Everyone loves bubble wrap. It's part of our pop culture. Number 3, form incredible crystals.
A bubble in a rock can become a home for amazing crystals. Sometimes air bubbles will form in cooling lava or sedimentary stone. If that rock is then exposed to water, some of it can slowly soak through the stone and into the bubble. Over millions of years, the deposits left by this mineral-rich water flow will gradually form crystals inside the bubble. This is called a geode. One region known for incredible purple amethyst geodes is southern Brazil and neighboring Uruguay. Here, there are large bubble-filled lava beds which formed 140 million years ago when South America was breaking away from Africa. The largest geode ever found in this region weighs over 5,500 pounds and is known as the Empress of Uruguay. It took miners 3 months of work to safely extract the massive amethyst-filled bubble from its lava home.
It was so fun playing with my geode. I was having a crystal ball. Number 2, create intense heat and mysterious light.
Tiny bubbles can have such incredibly high energy that they emit light. The pistol shrimp defends itself from predators by swiftly snapping its claw to create a tiny jet of water. Incredibly, this water jet moves so fast it instantly becomes a vapor, forming a microscopic air bubble through a process called cavitation. This tiny bubble only lasts about 5 milliseconds, but as it collapses, it gives off a sonic shock wave and emits a flash of light. Scientists say that in the instant the teeny bubble collapses, the temperature inside it momentarily becomes hotter than the surface of the sun. The light effect can be replicated in a lab, where intense sound waves can be used to form mysteriously glowing bubbles in water. This process is called sonoluminescence. Although they have many theories, scientists still haven't figured out exactly what makes the bubbles give off light.
Scientists don't know why the bubbles glow. I figured they'd have some bright ideas. And the number 1 thing you can do with a bubble is create life.
You'll be living in this bubble. It's clear plastic, so the world can see how normal you are.
Life on Earth probably began inside a bubble. Bubbles allow many organic chemical reactions to occur more easily, since they provide a unique interface between air and water. Researchers have shown that solutions of organic molecules exposed to tiny bubbles will spontaneously arrange themselves into forms that resemble simple cells. Inside of the bubbles, RNA precursors formed crystals. Acids grew into longer chains, and fats arranged themselves around organic molecules like a cell wall. All of these steps are integral to the creation of life. In a sense, You're just a big bubble made from trillions of little bubbles.
Turns out a bubble truly is the circle of life.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to get all our exciting lists of interesting things you can do with other things.